Hey guys, it's Beaver. So we got some updates out Ohio for sweet baby James Hutchinson. Now, this particular article was brought to my attention by Will at 411 Now. I will link his YouTube video below. But we also have some more developments. There was a plea today. They was in court. Mom and boyfriend have been in court today. So, but right now the grandparents are speaking, and we're going to get to the next update.
Now, both rescuers and investigators have been searching the Ohio River here behind me, just looking for any sign of little James, but so far they have not been able to find him. James,
you know, which they may say it in here, but you know, Nyla Lattimore, he's still missing too there.
His grandfather, Daryl, says he's just been anxiously waiting for some answers and decided he is ready to share part of his story. He told us a little bit more about how heartbreaking this devastating loss has been for him and some other family members, and shared that he's not convinced that James's body is actually in the water.
I want to say this. This grandfather has said this the entire time. He does not believe that the baby was there. He has said it since, ever since it happened. You know, the first time they spoke, he said it. He did not think that baby was there.
The last memory Daryl Trivet has of his grandson, James Hutchinson, is one that will forever live in his heart. James hugged him, said goodbye, and told his grandpa that he loved him.
He was always happy, always hugging. He'd be the first one to run up to you and hug you.
It's a testament to who James was,
My
smart
God.
and sweet even at only 6 years old. But it's also a haunting and tragic reminder of what's become an overwhelming loss for Daryl and his wife Betty. What's helped them survive the darkest days is the community support.
That's touched my heart. I'm still in contact with a few of them that doesn't. They're always checking on me.
James's mother, Brittany Gosney, and Brittany's boyfriend, James Hamilton, are accused of the Middletown boys' murder.
Part of me just wants to grab a hold of both of them and let them feel what they did to him.
Investigators believe Gosney attempted to abandon all 3 of her children at a Preble County park in February and killed James in the process. Gosney and Hamilton, per police, later took James's body back to their home, where they kept him for 2 days before dumping him in the Ohio River. James had...
I was sitting here thinking too, they also have a fund set up for the siblings of James, and I believe it's called James You Were Loved. It's pretty heavy, and it's a tragedy. All the way around, the story is so awful, so egregious, and there'll also be a playlist too. But it's bad. It's just, it's so sad. I can't imagine what this family's going through.
has yet to be found.
It hurts me bad because I can't even say what he felt. Her leaving him out and him scared and trying to get back in. I can't fathom how he felt.
For Daryl and for Betty, the news came as a shock. He says Gosney and her 3 kids lived with them for a while, and during that time, he says they never saw any signs of abuse.
She would come down here, she'd leave them here, she'd go across the street, get them juices and snacks while they played. I mean, it was things parents supposed to do.
6 months
Wow.
before James's death, Daryl says Gosney moved out and moved in with Hamilton. They didn't approve of her new relationship, so Daryl says Gosney cut them off.
6 months we didn't have no contact at all.
They haven't seen those grandkids since then because James's 2 siblings are in foster care.
They said they're doing pretty good, but I don't think they're doing real good because what they seen. They have to live with that.
Although Gosney told police they put James in the Ohio...
Yeah, I think it's super important that they have contact with, the real family, right? Which, I mean, maybe they're working towards that. But, God, you would think, in a time like this, that there's just being around the other kids would bring solace, for everybody, would bring, comfort for everybody.
River. Daryl has his doubts, fearful he won't get the chance to bury his grandson before he takes his last breath.
I think they've done something else with his body, and they're saying that so they won't find it. Because I think he was used bad. That's the only thing that hurts the worst, is not knowing where he is.
Well, you know, and there could also be different stages of healing, things like that. I mean, that would show a history. So, yeah, I can totally see what he's saying.
If we can get him laid to rest, at least we know he's resting peacefully.
In Daryl's eyes, the stepdaughter he once knew and loved is now a stranger. A mother he believes turned into a monster and did the unthinkable to someone so vulnerable.
I think they should go away forever. I think they should get life sentences.
I do too.
That's just the way I feel. They took a life.
So this was this morning. This is Mom, and she's playing. Let's watch.
What is your plea?
Guilty.
Proceeding then to the charge in count 14, that being
The record in State of Ohio versus Brittany Gosney. Case number CR 21030273. Defendant is present in the courtroom along with her attorney, David Washington.
After discussing potential resolutions and outcomes and having conversations with the prosecutor, it was agreed that we would enter this plea. Therefore, we will withdraw that motion to suppress.
you intend to enter a guilty pleas to this charge of murder and unclassified felony charge and 2 counts of endangering children, each of which are third-degree felonies.
Yes.
Ms. Gosney would, in the prison term, goes to life. On the murder charges, I can also impose a prison sentence on you with respect to each of the charges in count 14 and 15 so that I can make a more intelligent and informed decision about whether you had a full and fair opportunity to discuss the nature of the charges lodged against you in the indictment, the threat that you might have to any or all of those charges with your attorney, Mr. Confrontation. Understand that?
Yes.
Finally, Ms. Gosney, you understand that you have a trial, you also have the opportunity.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And y'all know, you know, at some point she had said that the boyfriend, he wasn't all cool with all these kids. So I'm going to scroll up. The DA has something to say, so let's take a little listen. So I was in the middle of editing. The audio quality it's pretty low. So those with earbuds, I'm sorry, because it kind of may be a little wonky. But yeah, in general it's slow. But the link will be in the description below. That way you can go and listen to it for yourself. Thanks.
Interviews, because generally everything that I'm involved is pending. And it's pretty difficult to talk about pending cases. There is still a pending case with respect to the matter we're going to be talking about. So I want to tell you in advance that with respect to Mr. Hamilton, that will be an issue that will be limited in this discussion. You're welcome to ask questions after we have given you an overview of today's guilty plea. I want to tell you how happy I am with the investigative efforts of Preble County and the willingness of Marty Botel, the county prosecutor there, to defer the prosecution to Butler County. He was certainly equally capable of doing the heavy lifting that was necessary in Preble County. But by agreement, we decided that it would probably be best to be investigated and completed with his efforts, and the efforts of his staff, and his deputies, and also Middletown Police Department and their officers, that the case be handled here in Butler County. With the result that we have today, with a guilty plea to the principal charge, without any reduction, without any what is ordinarily referred to as a plea bargain to the principal charge. Guilty as charged of felony murder. I think it's important for the general public to know that the defendant gave up her right to be referred to by me as a parent and as a mother. She is a defendant in all respects with respect to this case. And her conduct in this case fit the bill, as it were, of outrageousness with respect to one of the counts. I'll discuss that in a moment. But certainly the most outrageous count itself is that of felony murder, which involved the causing of death resulting from the conduct she had toward the child, Mr. Hutchinson. Mr. Hutchinson, who died at her hand as a result of her conduct when she drove away and left him for dead in the street.
Yeah.
On middle of nowhere, in the dark, with his siblings. Terrible situation, as everybody understands. There are many in this community that would see that in their heart of hearts the death penalty should apply. It absolutely does not, and never did. Felony murder requires causing the death as the result of an underlying offense of violence, in this case a child endangering, and that occurred with respect to that child. It was never something.
Well, and you gotta think too, there's still no body. There's still no body. So, you know, there's that also. Now, say there was injury and result of death, you know, death the result of injury, you know, something like that. But, so, I think, spend the rest of her life, you know, depending on what sentencing is, I'm sure that's what it'll be, something like that. But, the rest of the family that cared for this baby, they don't have to be put through a trial. So, I mean, that is the silver lining, you know.
Something that could be considered. The other charges that she pled guilty to involved the other children, the hog tying, as Kelly Hiley, assistant prosecutor, who so ably assisted and did the heavy lifting, much of the heavy lifting with respect to the preparation for the trial that we would have had in this case. As she pointed out to Judge Powers, these children were hog-tied and with rags stuffed in their mouths and left alone for a considerable amount of time under circumstances that most people in our society would never be able to understand, and that would have been a real challenging problem for us in a trial, because most people would say, how could anybody do this with somebody who was either insane or that it was just an accident, because nobody would have actually done what she did. That's always a challenging situation.
But she knew.
A guilty plea eliminates all doubts.
Yes. Yes.
Accident or any other defense that might be available.
Yes, I agree.
A guilty plea as charged, as in this case, eliminates all appeals. It also carries with it the mandatory sentencing that is not discretionary, but absolutely mandatory with respect to, as the judge said, how he would sentence her, and that she would not be available for certain credits that other defendants might have on lesser pleas with respect to sentencing. So all doubt has been removed. All questions of how this happened have been removed. And of course, as you well know, we do not have a body. We do have what's called corpus delicti. The general public thinks of corpus delicti as being the body of the person. You have learned from the education that you've had in this case that corpus delicti really refers to the legal principle, the body of the crime. It has to be supported by more than just a confession. Now, we had a very ample confession, but we don't have a body. But we have other issues that might have been subject to some questions about the evidence gathering with respect to that, not the defects with respect to the officers involved.
So I'm going to wrap it up right here. The link will be posted below if you want to watch the full 20 minutes. I think this is great. Justice is turning. The wheels are turning. My God, we had to pray for these, the brother and sister, the siblings, and the grandparents, all parties involved. You know, boyfriend still has to go. I think he might have been in court this morning too. I haven't saw that, but she pled. So to me, I mean, they're both equally guilty, but she's that baby's mother. And there's a lot that comes with that. And it's just sad. It's sad. It's appalling. It's egregious. It's senseless. And it's got to stop. But baby James, you know, we tell her story. That's what we do. So links will be in the description below. If you want to check this out, make sure you check out the playlist. It'll be somewhere. and it'll definitely be in the description box below. I will link 411 Now's video. He's also been following this case pretty heavily. And y'all make sure you like, share, and subscribe. But, you know, say some prayers for this family. If you got a dislike, hit it twice. It's super important. But we want to send out prayers, good energy to this family. And, you know, rest in peace, sweet baby James.